In this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can run the old method of auto clear from Easy Green Screen version 6 when you batch process in Easy Green Screen version 8. This will involve running an action as part of the batch, and there's a checkbox now in Easy Green Screen 8 to run an action. And I'm going to show you how these actions work and how you can make your own. That way you can create them to your own specifications if you want. But I've also included a link to these actions in the description to this video. Before I demonstrate that, I want to discuss how the auto clear works in version 6 and why I removed that method of doing it in version 7 and 8, because it can remove sports equipment at times, and it can also damage the edges of hair and around skin and clothing if you use it at too low of a radius. And so those are the reasons I took it out. But I know a lot of people have still requested it because I guess in some situations it may work for you. But just know that if these actions remove sporting equipment, or if they remove parts of the hair or the skin or whatever, if you use those at low radius especially, I'm not going to be doing tech support for these actions when they do that, because I already know they do that and I'm telling you they can do that. So use at your own discretion. But with that said, I'm going to show you how it works in version 6 and how you can create an action for that. So this is very basic. Now with this image, I actually just stretched the floor up on the sides because I wanted to use this particular image for the demonstration. And this one, the screen spans across the entire width. But I want to show this with non-green on the sides. So let's just extract this green screen here. All right, so I've got the mask checker set to gray. I'm going to set it to transparency so we can see the transparency. So basically what the auto clear does in version 6 is it just runs off of the select subject. So it's going to run, it's going to go to your foreground layer. It's going to run select subject. And then since select subject is not always a perfect selection, in order to not erase things on the edges and ruin the edges that Easy Green Screen makes, there's a radius to that. So all that is select, modify, and expand. It's going to expand by a certain number of pixels, let's say 50 pixels. We're going to expand that. And then under the extracted image, it's going to put in a mask right there. And that's how it removes, you see that that's now removed those edges, with the exception of around the feet. That 50 pixel expand has not removed this. But if I show you here, even with that expansion of 50 pixels, I think it actually did chop off something here. So let's look at the, so if you look at this area of the strings, when we ran select subject, it missed those. And even by expanding 50 pixels, it's still missing part of that. And when we added the layer mask, it's chopped that off. And so for this reason is why I put the mask in this extracted image layer. So if we look here, if we look in that mask, you can see this is just kind of a rough outline mask. But if we look at the mask of our foreground layer, you see we still have the edges, but we also still have those strings too, and anything else that was cut off. So this foreground mask is unchanged, and I did it that way. That way you could just go into this mask if you wanted and simply paint back white. Let me zoom in and do that again. That way you don't have to try to follow the edges. You can just brush over with a large brush, and I mean, that's what we're doing to this mask, but we still have the mask happening down here in the foreground layer. So that may make sense to some people, maybe not to others. but that's what it's doing. All right, I'm going to take this a step further now. And those are the steps that this action does. But in the case of some people wanted to use this auto clear to erase the feet, and so they would run that radius with 0 pixels. So let me go back to the right where we extracted with Easy Green Screen. I've got one set up that runs with a 0 pixel expansion. So it's the same thing, but it's just doing a select subject without actually expanding beyond that. So let's watch what happens here. I'm going to zoom in closer. Let's take a look at the hair. So you see how that, with the original Easy Green Screen, and then if we're running an auto clear with 0 pixels where we're not expanding that radius, we lost some of the hair. We also lost that entire string here. In addition, if we go back to the Easy Green Screen extraction, you can see we've kind of messed up the edge around this arm. The Easy Green Screen had a much nicer edge than the select subject made. So that is why there is an expansion on this. And in this set of actions, let's run the one that's called 150 pixels and run this one. This is going to expand it further. So now you see with this 150 pixels, we didn't lose the strings. We didn't lose anything in the hair either. If I select this mask that it made, and you see where this marching ants selection is, by expanding that selection and only removing outside of that, we've protected all of those edges. So we're preserving the Easy Green Screen edges it made, but then we're not removing the floor right around those feet either. So that's the drawback. So with that said, I'm hoping you kind of understand how this works. I'm going to show you how to batch these actions in case. Oh, before I do that, I was going to had a couple more I was going to demonstrate too here, just so I can show you that with the same exact person with the same lacrosse net here. Let's run the auto clear 50 pixel action just to pick one. But in this case, the select subject completely removed the entire top of the lacrosse stick. That's why I chose this image in particular, because it was the same athlete in 3 different poses, and all 3 of these performed differently because the select subject AI is not trained very well for sports equipment. So, and with this one, with the auto clear, it's removing part of the inside of that stick. And that is why I took this out of version 7 and 8 and replaced it with a new method that requires the green all the way around the subject, because I can prevent these issues. So this auto clear is best used when you don't have sports equipment, but I'm going to show you how to batch it anyway, because there are times when you're not using sporting equipment where it may work for you. Although the batch I am going to do is with sports equipment. So under the batch processing, we're going to select the action we want. And after you've loaded the action, you're going to have to hit refresh actions list before they'll show up. And then you'll find the set of actions. Let's just run the one that's 50 pixels. And then I've got the source folder and the save folder. Let me run this batch and then we'll take a look at the images. All right, the batch is finished, and let's take a look at the images. So you see that this one removed the stick. The auto clear worked on the floor except for around the feet where we had that radius. And it would have removed around the sides if we had something on the side too. Again, we lost the stick in this one. This one we didn't. So 3 in a row we didn't lose the stick, but then again we lost the stick here. And that's why I chose this set of images, because I know lacrosse sticks were really problematic for it. Baseball bats too, but lacrosse sticks always seem to be problematic with it. It would vary depending on sports equipment. So the moral of the story is here, if you want to use these auto clear actions, it's best to use these without sports equipment, and it's not going to do any damage to your image. And also, I highly recommend not using the 0 pix one. Use at least 25, if not that, 10, because you're really going to kind of ruin the edges around the hair and the skin if you try to use it at 0 pix, which I know a ton of people were doing in version 6 when I had that control. Another thing is too, is if, let's open one of these here. So if you have images that just have the floor that needs cut out and not sides of the image, I've actually got a different set of actions that will work actually really well without removing sports equipment, as long as the sports equipment is not near the floor. So if you're considering using the 0 pix auto clear actions, instead go watch the other set of videos, or the other video that I made with the other set of actions that's specifically for floor only removal. So thanks for watching, and I hope this helps.